Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Inglaterra. Hoy, continuando con los vídeos con los días antes, hoy voy a compartir cómo yo escribir nuevos diálogos o nuevos textos para practicar. So, hello again from England. Another, slightly rainy day, so we're inside at the moment. So I'm going to share with you how I write new dialogues to help me practice my Spanish. So first thing, I'm picking a general topic area. So in this case, I'm looking at negotiation, because I figure that the types of phrases I'm going to need to successfully negotiate, very, very useful. That's a nice general set of phrases I can use in lots of different circumstances, so it's a good one to get good at. So I've looked for some general books on that topic. I found one that I've read before in English. That's a book by Voss called Never Split the Difference. I'll share you a link in the description for that one. And then what I did, because I want to practice this in Spanish, I've gone onto YouTube and I've looked for someone in Spanish who's discussing that book. So I'm going to use their video. Again, I'll put a link in the description. I'm using their video to give me a context. So that gentleman's talking about that particular book, all in Spanish. It's kind of like a combination of a summary. And again, he practices some of the useful phrases from that book, which are the kind of thing I'm going to need to use. So I get to practice specific vocabulary on the topic generally, negotiations in general, but as well I get to practice actual phrases from the book that are particularly helpful. And then the next thing I've done, I've gone back to one of my favourite softwares, ChatGPT, which is very helpful for writing dialogue type scripts, particularly when you can give it quite a tight description. So I've asked the software particularly to give me a summary of the main types of useful questions. I went for the top 5 based on that particular book by Voss, Never Split the Difference. And I said I would like these questions in a parallel translation, English and Spanish. And then I've asked it for some further detail of some of the points that are raised around that, again, to give me some extra phrases that I might be able to use. So the idea with this is I have a general conversation about the topic, which I can use the video for as something to help me listen to, and I can mirror the dialogue I'm hearing, because that's me helping me to practice without having anyone else directly to practice Spanish with. So I'm going to use the video to help me listen to that, understand the vocabulary, but also be able to practice and mimic the sound that I'm hearing. And then I'm using the software to help write me specific dialogue with very useful phrases, and again, particular vocabulary. I've asked it to translate it for me so I can see clearly what all the words mean, and that's the thing I'm going to use to practice my dialogues. And then the final thing I got the software to look for, I asked it to pick a particular scenario. In my case, I decided, let's practice as if I'm going to go and buy a car. And it's given me a full dialogue, which again, I've got it to translate in parallel so I can see both the English and the Spanish dialogue of a situation where pretending I'm going to go and buy a car and the kind of negotiation phrases I'd need to use in that situation. But let's show you quickly one of the ones I got from the software. So the first suggestion Chris is using in his book is when you're in the negotiation, when you're listening to the other person, you're reflecting what you hear. This helps you ask other questions to check you've understood it, so you get a better connection with the person, and then you can begin your negotiation. But obviously I've also asked the software to translate this for me into Spanish, so I know how to use these phrases. So, reflect what you hear will come up as reflejar lo que escuchas. Then you're prompted to ask calibrated questions. This is to ensure you've understood it properly. something like, ¿Cómo puedo ayudarte a entender mi posición? How can I help you understand my position? So another way you can use the software, which is quite helpful, if the initial explanation you get from it is not detailed enough, you can ask it for some more detail. So in my case, that was as far as I got with that part on reflecting. I said, can you give me some more examples of phrases in Spanish I can use in that type of conversation? So I've got a range of phrases I can use not to keep repeating the same thing. And I was given a fair few. I've asked for them in translation, so I can go with something like this. Entonces, si entiendo bien, estás diciendo que, and then I fill in the phrase. So if I understand correctly, you're saying that, and then I fill in what I've understood. So looking at that together, I hope you can see that even if you're in a situation where perhaps you don't have a lot of native speakers to practice with, you're going to have to practice this on your own, using a few of the tools we've easily got access to now. So other videos in the language you're going to study on a particular topic, use some of the new AI type software to help you write a dialogue around that topic area, and then try and narrow that down to a specific situation. You get plenty of material then that you can use to improve your ability in that situation, learn some of the new words, and then you can refer back to the original video, which hopefully is giving you a wider discussion of the general topic, and it gives you something you can listen to and try and mirror how that person is phrasing in the language. So you've got something you can check your progress against, which is very helpful. So some things to think about. Hope that one's useful. Déjame saber, como siempre, en los comentarios. But for now, while we wait for the rain to clear, we'll say cheerio.